Hello everyone, Dr. Denny here, your Assistant Principal of Curriculum, and I'm here on behalf of Miss Ray, your school counselor, last names J through Z for underclassmen and last name I through Z for seniors. And I'm going to talk to you about our FAFSA application, and that stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. So when you're looking for financial aid for college, it's helpful to consider what the purpose of financial aid is. It's to help pay for your college expenses. It helps with costs such as tuition, fees, books, your room and board, and can even assist with transportation. Your aid can also assist with expenses such as daycare and purchasing a computer. So financial aid in relation to your post-secondary experience can be very all-encompassing. Now, with our FAFSA application, the first step to receiving financial aid is completing your FAFSA. This can be completed as soon as October 1st. That application window will open up. And by completing your FAFSA, you're going to be applying to most types of federal and state financial aid. You should take note of the FAFSA start date, and you should start completing this application as soon as you're able to do so. So here's a screenshot of the FAFSA.gov homepage where you can complete the FAFSA application online. So Federal Student Aid released an updated version of FAFSA.gov last year. The pages have been resized so that they can be accessed on your mobile devices. And the Federal Student Aid hopes to make it easier for both parents and students to access the application on a device that works best for them. So remember to use the website FAFSA.gov. You should never pay to complete the FAFSA. If there's a site that requires payment, you're probably not on the correct site. So when you go, remember FAFSA.gov. FAFSA Forecaster does offer families a glimpse at their potential financial aid eligibility. And remember, this opens up October 1st, so that's very soon for our students and families. Filling the FAFSA online is easier now. It's the most efficient way as opposed to paper processes. The online process provides tool tips and little question marks beside each statement that's going to assist you with answering questions. If you file online this year, next year you'll be able to complete a renewal FAFSA with some of your answers pre-populated already. And your FSA ID, your Federal Student Aid ID, will be used as your electronic signature for the FAFSA. So students and one parent or spouse will need an FSA ID to complete this process. The FSA ID allows you to sign your FAFSA electronically, so it's important for you to keep track of this PIN number. It also can be used to sign student loan paperwork and access other financial aid information. Parents without Social Security numbers will not be able to get an FSA ID. They will have to print a signature page and mail it to the Federal Student Aid to complete the application. This option is presented to you at the end of FAFSA. So if you aren't able to present a Social Security number, just hang tight to the end of that application. There are several ways to access your FSA ID information. So FAFSA.gov, studentaid.ed.gov/FSAID, and then FSAID.ed.gov. Students and parents should plan to create an FSA ID prior to starting the FAFSA application. Families can go to FAFSA.gov and scroll down the homepage to get started on creating an FSA ID. Okay, so this is something that you will need prior to completing the FAFSA. Students may go ahead, complete, sign, and submit their FAFSA application with the FSA ID that they have just created. If there's a problem verifying the information provided when creating the FSA ID, the student and or parent will be notified, and the FAFSA will not be processed until the situation has been cleared. Okay, so once you have that FSA ID in hand, you can move forward and complete the FAFSA application. The FSA ID can be used on any of the websites listed above to view various types of information regarding financial aid or student loans. MPN is a master promissory note. This document states that students will repay the loan they received, plus any interest and fees that accrued on the loan as well. Okay, so financial aid comes in many forms. Some of those are loans that require repayment. So after you've completed the FSA ID process, you're ready to actually complete the FAFSA itself. So moving forward, once we have our FSA ID, these next slides are going to outline the FAFSA process. So each section of the FAFSA requires specific information about the student and the parents, such as demographic and financial data. So if you can, it's best to have this information prepared before you begin the application process. This is the opening screen of the mobile app. It will have announcements about maintenance and other updates. Before getting started with the FAFSA, applicants can say whether they are a student, the parent, or the preparer. Just like on FAFSA.gov, students should carefully select the correct FAFSA year based on when they will be attending college in the mobile app. Okay, so that FAFSA year is based on your entry into college. FAFSA is just the first step in paying for college. So the next several slides are going to outline what to expect after you've submitted your FAFSA online. After receiving your FAFSA submission notification, schools can contact you in a variety of ways. So be sure to check your college-issued email account and watch for mail to arrive from the schools you've been accepted to. So once you get those college acceptances, you will get information about award packages based on your FAFSA application. A student aid report is a summary of the information you provided on the FAFSA. It will be sent to you electronically or a paper copy, depending on how you submit your FAFSA application. So it's important for you to review your student aid report for any errors. If corrections are needed, corrections to your FAFSA can be made in a few different ways. All changes can be forwarded to the schools you've selected to receive your FAFSA results. The IRS data retrieval tool can be used to transfer tax information into your FAFSA. If you use that tool, the corrections to income information must be made through your financial aid office. When the financial aid office begins to determine your aid eligibility, they will assign you a cost of attendance. The cost of attendance, or COA, is an estimate of your educational expenses for a particular school. The COA includes average expenses such as tuition, fees, books, as well as living costs. The COA will probably be different at each school you've selected to receive your FAFSA results. Your expected family contribution, or EFC, is a number that's calculated from your FAFSA information. So the financial aid office will use the expected family income to determine a student's eligibility for federal and student aid programs. They do so by looking through your family's submitted financial records. Your EFC will remain the same no matter which school you attend. So again, that's based on your most recent tax return. Financial need is also determined by your school's financial aid office. They're going to subtract your expected family contribution and any other aid, such as an outside scholarship you receive, from the school's COA, or cost of attendance. The difference is going to be your financial need. So your financial aid is going to be awarded based on this calculation here below. In this example, the student may receive up to $15,000 in need-based aid and no more than $20,000 in non-need-based aid. Need-based aid includes grants, work study, and subsidized student loans. Unsubsidized student loans are non-need-based aid. So be sure to review your financial aid offer carefully. Pay close attention to any deadlines for accepting or declining financial aid. Schools may contact students in a variety of ways, so be sure to check your college-issued email account once you're accepted into an institution and watch for mail to arrive from the schools you've been accepted to. So now let's take a look specifically at that federal financial aid. Okay, so these programs listed include dollar amounts and interest rates, are all subject to change based on the federal budget, but please keep in mind that each student's eligibility is also going to vary depending on family size, income, and assets. The Pell Grant and Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant are both need-based grant programs for undergraduate students that do not have a bachelor's degree. The TEACH grant has some very specific requirements that recipients must fulfill. It becomes a loan if you do not end up teaching in a required field and/or school. So students are encouraged to research this program before they accept it. Students who have lost a parent in 9/11 in either Iraq or Afghanistan should notify the financial aid office at the school that they plan to attend for potential award packages that may be available to them. And you apply to all federal financial aid programs just by completing the FAFSA application. So it's important to remember that if you have not completed a FAFSA, you're not applying for federal financial aid. Not all schools participate in these federal programs, but it's important to make sure that you complete that FAFSA in the event that one of the schools you apply to does. Here are a few more federal financial aid programs. Again, these amounts vary, and they will also vary based on individual student circumstances, including family size, income, and assets. The Federal Work-Study Program is based on a student's financial needs specifically, and it allows you to work part-time on or off campus. Not all schools participate in this program, and again, you're applying for federal work-study, subsidized student loans, and unsubsidized loans by completing that FAFSA application. And notice the difference between a subsidized and unsubsidized loan listed here. Those subsidized loans, the government pays your interest for you while you're enrolled at least half time, versus an unsubsidized loan, that interest starts accruing right away on that loan. So again, another potential option for federal financial aid, the Parent Plus loan. Okay. So parents of dependent students can apply for a PLUS loan to supplement their child's financial aid award. So to qualify, a parent must be creditworthy. So that's something that will be evaluated based on the parent's credit score. Repayment begins shortly after disbursement. To be considered for this loan, the student must have completed a FAFSA application. So in order for a parent to qualify for this Parent Plus loan, their student must have a FAFSA application on file. There are PLUS loans available for independent students as well. If an independent student falls into this category, they should take a look at their school's financial aid office for more information. PLUS loans do require a separate application by the parent borrower that you can see at studentloans.gov. So that won't be awarded based on your FAFSA application. That's something you would have to seek out in addition to the FAFSA. Now, looking at state financial aid options, the Florida Student Assistance Grant Program is a state grant for Florida residents. It's based on financial need. Funds are limited for this program. Applying for the FSAG can occur by completing the FAFSA as soon as possible after October 1st. That FAFSA filing deadline is usually around December 1st. So again, we want to get everything in as soon as possible. And every year, the first generation matching grant is another option. For this, students must complete the FAFSA as well to receive their grant dollars. So don't sleep on these opportunities. All right, so that is a quick look at the FAFSA application process. So this PowerPoint will be available to you as well, so you can go through at your own pace. So thank you all for tuning in. So that was your crash course in free federal student aid. Or I'm sorry, the free application for federal student aid.